Thank you for joining us today for our PropTech with NAR meetup series. Today's meeting, we plan on introducing you to 3 of the hottest companies in the PropTech space, as well as give you a quick update on Scv and Reach. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is Dave Conroy, and I'm one of the directors of emerging tech here at NAR, and I help organize this meetup with my colleague, Dan Weissman. Dan, would you like to say hello?
Yeah, hey everybody, thanks for joining us. We're real excited about today.
Awesome. So I'm excited too, Dan. This is a meeting I've personally been looking forward to for a few months now, ever since NAR's technology scale-up program Reach announced the 2021 class, both commercial and residential. You see, I've been working in real estate tech now for 12 years and 5 years at NAR. And Dan and I, who you just met, we dedicate so much time to following all things real estate technology, and that leads us to meeting with dozens of startups a month. So we see a lot. And then when this class was finally announced, just seeing the caliber of the companies that were selected, we were just so blown away. The NAR Reach team has really, truly outdone themselves this time, so much so that Dan and I said, hey, let's dedicate an entire meetup just so we can introduce you to a few of them today. But before we jump into the presentations, I just wanted to remind everyone about our goals for this meetup group. First and foremost, we're here to bring together folks who are interested in learning about PropTech and fostering a community around it. The second goal of this group is to provide attendees with an opportunity to network and make connections. Of course, this is a bit challenging in this virtual setting, but we do our best, and hopefully this will be one of the last times where we have to have a virtual only meetup. A quick side note here, I heard earlier this month that one of our previous meetups actually led to a job opportunity for an attendee, which was just so fantastic. Hearing that news really made my day, and feel free to reach out and let us know if there are any other success stories like that out there. Just a really great motivator for Dan and I, and the opportunity was with one of our Reach companies as well. So just a really wonderful story. So we're glad that we're able to provide this opportunity to network for you all. And finally, the last goal of this meetup group, we want to make sure that the members of this group, as well as our realtor members, all hear from some of the best speakers and talent in real estate. As I said before, Dan and I spent countless hours researching trends, following investments, meeting startups, and we wanted to share that distilled information back with you all. That's just one of the ways we want to provide value back to you, is we really appreciate your time and your willingness to participate with us today. So today we've got some amazing presentations from some really great companies. We're going to be hearing from Parafin, and they're going to be talking today about on-demand generative building design, which is changing the way that real estate is developed. We've also got analytics solutions for multifamily that is using artificial intelligence to improve performance and ROI. And that's Remarkably. And then finally, we've got Feather, who's just completely reinventing the furniture rental game. They're making it affordable, easy to use, all while saving the environment and saving all the waste from what is normally generated by the short-term so-called fast furniture. But first, I want to invite to the stage a person who really makes all of this possible, and that's Mark Birschbach, who's Senior Vice President at NAR for the Strategic Business Innovation and Technology Group. Mark is responsible for so much of the technology initiatives that come out of NAR, not just the Reach program, but also Second Century Ventures, which has investments now valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. Mark has also been critical in the launch of the IOI Summit, which is a world-class technology and innovation summit for real estate that will be having its 3rd anniversary this year in August. You can find out more about that event at ioi.realtor. And today, Mark is just going to be joining us to give us an overview of Scv and Reach, which has now become the #1 real estate accelerator in the world. Mark, would you like to take it away?
Sure, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Before we turn it over to the 3 amazing companies in this year's Reach class, Dave and Dan asked me to just give a very brief overview of the Scv and Reach story, which actually spans over a decade now. So there's quite a bit of material to cover in a very short period of time. So I will do my best to do that. Starting on the overview slide, for those of you that don't know, NAR launched Scv in 2009 as its venture capital arm with the mission of investing in companies that would innovate the real estate industry in a realtor-friendly way. So everyone thinks about the 2 guys in a garage who might come into an industry and disrupt it. This was our idea of how to partner with those entrepreneurs and have them come in the industry in a friendly way. Next slide. So we partner with companies through two different entities. Think of Scv as our fund that we invest capital out of, and Reach as our accelerator or scale up program. We don't typically invest capital in a Reach company at the outset, but Reach has become a phenomenal feeder to Scv, and quite a few of our most recent investments have come from the Reach program. We look at two major criteria along with some of the things you see on this slide, but really the two major things are: one, how will this technology or company benefit our realtor members? And then two, what's the potential return on investment? We very much operate this like a venture capital firm looking for VC returns. Next slide. Just some quick investment themes here. These are some of the underlying technologies in most of the recent companies that we looked at. A lot of buzzwords on this slide, which probably won't surprise anyone. The key is that the companies we look at must have a viable product that is ready to come and scale in the marketplace. Next slide. I think more importantly, what we look at is what problem is the company trying to solve and how does it fit in the real estate ecosystem? Well, many of the products from our companies are marketed directly to the real estate practitioner. We focus a lot on the consumer experience. How are we making the real estate transaction more efficient for the consumer? How are we helping our members get clients more efficiently and more easily? You can see a couple of the major categories we focus on here, and then where some of our current portfolio companies fit in. Next slide. Now I'll just give a brief overview about Reach. Next slide. Again, we launched this program in the US in 2013 to help early stage tech companies come into the industry. Real estate, as many of you know, is incredibly complex. It's very difficult for an early stage company to navigate it, figure out who their customer is and how to get to them. That's really the problem we're helping entrepreneurs solve. And it's the major value that Reach provides. So we're focused on helping our companies get customers by giving them education. Here's all the different constituents, how you might approach the different entities, how you navigate real estate, mentorship. We have hundreds of mentors who meet with our companies on a regular basis throughout the program, and then massive exposure into the industry through events, advertising, marketing, etc. Next slide. Like I said, we launched Reach in 2013 with one program in the US, and we typically partnered with anywhere from 6 to 10 companies in any given year. In 2019, under the leadership of Dave Garland and Tyler Thompson, we launched our expansion efforts and we went global and vertical. So we launched in Australia, Canada, and then this year in the UK, where we're having our first program. And then what we consider vertical is when we expanded into the commercial real estate. We decided to have a program specifically focused on commercial real estate tech, which, as most people know, is incredibly different than the residential real estate marketplace. So we now operate 5 different programs each year, and we partner with anywhere from 35 to 45 companies in any given year. Next slide. Here is a quick snapshot of the current Reach portfolio. As you can see, over the years, it's grown exponentially with 2020 and 2021. A significant amount more companies than we had in any given year. We're now in our 9th year of operation, and we have a truly global network of over 120 companies. And all of these companies are driving significant innovation in our industry. And we couldn't be more excited about the future as we see some of the passionate entrepreneurs and their tech solutions for our members and for the consumers in the industry. Next slide. Then really quickly, this is the Scv portfolio. Again, these are the companies that we've actually invested capital into. You'll see a lot of the same logos on this slide that you saw on the previous slide, because we've taken the best companies from the Reach program and we've allocated some capital to them. So we're now over 40 investment companies, as you can see on this page. We're actually looking to continue to expand that exponentially. We have a significant amount of capital that we're looking to put to work. Again, as we grow our REACH program with 30 to 40 plus companies each year, we obviously have a lot more investment candidates to potentially allocate capital from SCV into. Next slide. So what's next for SCV? Again, our mission is to invest in technologies that are transforming real estate. We've done an incredible job so far doing that. We want to continue to partner with exceptional companies. We see that 35 to 45 companies growing as we launch additional geographic locations, as well as potentially other verticals. So what I mean by verticals are, there's a lot of things that touch the real estate transaction, think mortgage, title, insurance, et cetera. Right now, we partner with companies that might have solutions in those space and put them into one of the programs that we have, in whatever geography that they might be. And then we sort of tailor a little bit of the program to those companies as they're going through, our regular program. We can potentially get to a point where we launch specific programs for each one of these verticals, like we did with commercial. So we continue to grow, we continue to expand. We're excited about the technologies that we're seeing and what they're doing for our members. And I'll just wrap it up quickly on the next slide. Every time I have the chance to get in front of a group, I always make sure to thank the team. If you look on this slide, there's some incredible talent here doing some amazing things, and I'd be remiss if I didn't give them all the credit for all the success that we've had. So I appreciate being able to kick off this meeting today. Excited to work with all of you on bringing new solutions into our space and get to know all the people, as many people as you can on this slide, because there's a lot of great conversations and a lot of great value that we can all provide. So thank you all for your time today.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. All right, cool. So we'll keep moving along here. Again, I'm Dan Weissman. Briefly said hi at the beginning. Work closely, obviously, with Dave and team. Thank you, Dave and Mark, for setting the stage and getting us ready for our three awesome guests today. I'm going to do some brief intros and tell you a little bit, at least, why I'm personally excited about these three companies, and then hand things over to them to get into it. So first, I'm going to start with Adam. Adam is the CEO and co-founder of Parafin, which is a software startup that uses artificial intelligence to generate building concepts, budgets, and financial models for real estate development opportunities. Adam has a long history of and experience in real estate finance, in development and design. And one of the things that he's really good at is analyzing the complex financial components that goes into these types of projects. And this has really prepared him to combine all this stuff, to take both technology, the design, the development, and pull it all together to create significant efficiencies and streamline the overall process. I've known Adam for a few years now, ever since I joined NAR. He's one of the first people I met, actually, and very excited to have him talk about Parafin today, specifically because I come from the commercial construction development space. So this is always near and dear to my heart, and excited for him to show you guys what he is doing and his team is doing. Next is Janal. Janal is the VP of Marketing Growth at Feather. Janal is really, really passionate about growing purpose-driven brands that are building new consumer behaviors. And, everything's all about being a digital leader first, and has really built this niche between connecting brand and e-commerce, and excels at driving these both creative and commercial capital. Throughout her career, she has led a number of different teams and has experience in both intense growth companies, transformation, turnarounds, you name it, she's been involved. So a ton of great experience. Like I mentioned, she is the current VP and leads up all the marketing efforts at Feathers, which, as Dave mentioned earlier, is a company that's really reimagining rental furniture for modern millennials. I'm excited for Janal and team to be here because I think that specifically, obviously in the real estate space, there are tons of opportunities when it comes to renting furniture, from staging to people who just want to change how their home looks and change their different styles. So there's tons of opportunity there. Excited to hear from Janal. And last, but of course not least, is Erin, and she is the co-founder and co-CEO of Remarkably. She's responsible for the strategic vision and the direction of the company's cloud-based business intelligence software. She brings more than a decade of multifamily real estate expertise to her role, and Erin has forged really deep relationships with the multifamily industry and is recognized for her commitment to shifting the status quo of multifamily market perception, or excuse me, multifamily marketing perception, role, and influence. Kind of somewhat similar to what Dave said earlier in his opening remarks, but I am very excited to have Erin and Remarkably represented here because there is a huge market for multifamily real estate. And everything I understand, that process is very time consuming and challenging. And what her product is bringing to the table is using data to help with that process and create greater opportunities. So those are our three speakers today. I welcome them and excited that they're here to share what they're doing with you. Quick reminder, each presentation is going to be about 10 minutes. And then we will have 5 minutes of Q&A after each presentation. If you have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. And then when each of them wrap up, I'll do my best to get to them. So with that said, let's kick things off. We're going to hand it over to Adam.
All right. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, thanks, Dan. It's looking forward to being able to see everyone again in person when we start to do these meetups live again. And sorry, I'm pulling up my Zoom. Always wants to be right where my mouse wants to be. There we go. So I'm Adam Hengels, co-founder of Parafin. My background is in real estate development, and I had studied real estate development and the master's program at the MIT Center for Real Estate. And following that, I had spent most of my real estate development career at four City Ratner companies, working on the Barclay Center and Atlantic Yards project, which is a $5 billion project in downtown Brooklyn, which really played a part in Brooklyn making a comeback and brought professional sports back to Brooklyn. Let me tell you a little bit about pains of real estate development, and I'll start from the beginning where it all starts, just when a project is just an idea. And that most developers look at a lot of deals before for every one that they actually acquire. And the information that we found is it's average of 31 opportunities that a developer will kind of kick the tires on before actually spending millions of dollars acquiring the piece of land and building on it. But for each of these projects, let's say we're Olivia, and her team look at 100 opportunities per year on average. They're a pretty large scale hotel development company, but that only leads to, say, 4 actual acquisitions of project starts. But for each of those opportunities that Olivia and her team are looking at, they spend a lot of time. They need to pull their team off of other existing projects or opportunities, and they end up spending a lot of time going back and forth with architects. And each time an architect comes up with a new design, you end up rebuilding your financial model. All of this is just to try to understand, what can I build on this piece of land, and will it make money? And at the end of the day, if another real estate developer beats you by either bidding higher or bidding faster, all of that work is for nothing. And so on average, real estate developer is going to take 6 weeks, spend thousands of dollars, and and this is just one of many opportunities looked at for each one that they build. Now, my co-founder Brian has been on the other side of this problem because his background is in architecture, but Brian is no average architect. Brian's a specialist in computational design. He had built the computational design studio at HKS Architects, which is a large company. The team that Brian built would build software solutions that were used internally by the company and was used on projects such as NFL stadiums like the Vikings and Rams Stadium, other things. So when Brian and I started working together, him as the architect, me as a developer, we started to have some insights into how the technologies that he and his team were building could actually help the real estate development process. And that's where Parafin was born. And essentially, what Parafin does is recreates a lot of that back and forth that a developer and architect do on high-powered cloud computers with each of these design concepts tied to a budget and financial model, so that what used to take weeks or months could now be done in a matter of minutes. And let me just go ahead and show you. Switch over. Okay, so a real estate developer is going to use Parafin right in their web browser. This is a version of Parafin that we launched in 2020 in partnership with Marriott Hotels. Timing wasn't the best because when we launched, we found ourselves in a pandemic, but nonetheless, it's we have an amazing a product that both we and Marriott's excited about. So if we start a new project, what we're going to do here is design a Courtyard by Marriott project, and we're going to look at a site that one of our customers is building a courtyard in Anchorage, Alaska. Hold on, let me. Sorry. Seem to be having an issue with, oh wait, sorry. I give the project a name, and this is the site in Anchorage, Alaska. We can either select the site by using an autocomplete to find the address, or we can navigate it through the map. Basically, we've built the software so that a real estate developer doesn't have to push and pull a bunch of tools within a software, and doesn't need to do all the nitty gritty stuff that an architect might do. And so we'll get this done in 4 quick steps. The second step, we'll just identify the parcels that are involved with this project. And if it needs to, we can, edit the site boundaries with a drawing tool. Next, we'll let Parafin know what the setbacks that might be required by zoning, or if there's street frontage. I'll kind of skip through this. And finally, we'll select which hotel brand we want to use on this project. In this case, this is a Courtyard. And Parafin's ready to go. So right now, what's happening is that on our cloud servers, Parafin is generating thousands upon thousands of Courtyard designs, all based upon the brand standards that Marriott has for Courtyard. And, it's tying a budget and financial model to each of those, and we'll see those in a second. While it's running, you can adjust some of your assumptions for the particular project. But usually it takes about 20 to 30 seconds for it to run, and we can go ahead and view the results. Now, let me make sure I'm in. All right, so I'm in a different version than I was planning on showing you, but that's all right. We'll still see it. So on the left, just to give you a lay of the land, on the left, we have all the designs that have been generated. These are sorted currently according to their investment performance. In the middle is your standard investment pro forma for a real estate development project. And on the right are the actual designs that were generated for this option. So if we select different options, the pro forma and designs will change accordingly. You can go ahead and adjust your assumptions, room mixes, and parking requirements, your budget assumptions for the guest rooms and other spaces, and your real estate development budget. As we make these adjustments, let's say we adjust the land costs, that number is automatically adjusted in the financial model, and the list of options are then recalibrated based upon those changes in the assumptions. So then for the actual design, we see this will be the aerial view. We also have a perspective view of that design, as well as the floor plans for this particular layout. And this is where we usually, get a lot of surprise at the level of detail that is coming through these designs at this early stage. A lot of the tools that architects may use at an early stage are basically just giving you a basic massing of the project with blocks and cubes. But what Parafin is actually laying out the actual floor plans based upon the design standards that Marriott has for Courtyard. And a big reason that we're able to do this is just, Brian took a unique approach towards building the generative design engine. And what happened is Brian actually taught the algorithms on our server how to design these buildings with Revit software, which is a commonly used design software used by architects, which allows us to get very fine-grained detail of designs. But that also means that for any of these designs, we'd be able to provide a full Revit file for a real estate developer, and that would give them and their architects several weeks head start on that project if they were to move forward with it. So this would be, let me go into the actual presentation. So yeah, for each of these options, we would have very detailed Revit files that an architect can take and refine as the project moves forward. So right now, as I mentioned, this is Parafin's 4 hotel projects. And we're consistently loading new brands into the software, signing up other chains to be involved. And we're making sure that we're as ready as we could possibly be for the rebirth of the hotel development here in the US. But we also are preparing to launch a version of Parafin for multifamily projects in 2021. And that's a big part of our participation in the REACH program revolves around the launch of the multifamily version of the product later this year. Thanks everyone. Feel free to reach out to me for any reason. Obviously, we're interested in talking with developers, but I'm right here in Chicago, so I'm looking forward to seeing you all in person at one of the upcoming meetups. Thanks, back to you.
Cool. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it. And for those of you who have not been part of this kind of development process, what Parafin, Adam, and Brian are doing is just so valuable. I just remember in my construction days, working with developers, and this process would take years sometimes. And it was all based around the data that you're quickly analyzing through your AI based on pro forma and expectations and all different options. And so it's really, really cool to see. I love the use cases and the actual projects you've done in the hotel space, and excited for multifamily and many other options. So with that said, we do have a few questions in the chat here. So let's see, the first one is, what information does Marriott need to provide to you for Parafin to be able to generate these automatically?
Yeah, so Brian, for each of the brands, Brian spends a bit of time with their internal design and construction team to make sure that we understand what they do and don't want to see in the designs that are coming back to them. So, the actual developers that are building these projects are independent of Marriott and other hotel chains, but Marriott does play a part in approving the designs, and they want to make sure the designs are on standard. So basically, yeah, Brian spends some time with their internal team making sure that he's training our algorithms according to what what they want to see.
Got it. Cool.
But
and then
they have some other data, around revenue and things like that. But we may at some point integrate that, but right now they're they keep that to themselves.
Got it. And then we have one more, and then we'll move on. Try to keep on schedule here. So Inez says, love the narrative design elements about the concept. You need specific zoning data for setbacks that are particular to each piece of property. How is that handled?
Right now, unfortunately, there isn't a universally usable, set of zoning data. There's thousands of different zoning codes in the U.S. Each municipality and county has their own zoning. And unfortunately, there's no single point of truth that we can tap into to access that. So that is an area where currently the real estate developer has to do a little bit of homework on their own. We're really looking forward to the day that someone can give us all the zoning data we need.
Yes, good luck. The day that happens. All right, cool. Adam, thanks again. And if you'd like, feel free, obviously, to put your contact information in the chat, and then people can feel free to reach out to Adam and talk with him. So thank you, Adam. Next, we have Janelle with Feather. So welcome to the virtual stage.
Thank you. I will share my screen in just a second. Oops, there we go. All right, here we go. It is such an honor to be here today. Dan and SCV guys, thank you for inviting us. I also really like the moniker you've given us. I'm sticking to it, the hottest prop tech company. So thank you for that. We've had an amazing journey over the last couple of weeks with NAR, and what you're about to see today is a culmination of a lot of the thinking that we evolved further in working with NAR. So we are sort of a bit in this really amazing stage where we are evolving from who we are right now towards who we want to be. And that's what I want to share with you today. So we are Feather. We were founded about 4 years ago with the mission to reimagine people's relationship with material goods and truly challenge the idea of ownership. Jay Reno, our founder, he has a master's in sustainability and climate change from Columbia. And He really started questioning the idea of fast furniture, through his own experiences and also what as his education shaped his thinking. So, he started Feather with a really simple goal, like let's figure out a way to keep furniture out of landfills by offering consumers a better alternative to fast furniture. And this is a lesser known fact, but about 20 billion pounds of furniture ends up in landfills every single year. That is the same amount of plastic that ends up in the oceans, and yet furniture is not really part of our climate conversation. So that was the ethos with which Feather was founded. We have grown leaps and bounds as a consumer rental business. We speak to the modern millennial audience. We are in urban areas. We've just expanded to DC, and in 2 weeks, we'll be launching in several markets in Texas. But where we are right now, and the reason we've joined NAR is because we are ready to court realtors. And why? Because they already love us. So something interesting started happening. We've had a consumer business focused around both short-term rental plans and a long-term plan, which is about a 12-month lease. What we started noticing is homeowners and realtors themselves were reaching out to us because they found us as this really incredible mid-market solution, which worked for them. So compared to traditional staging option, the feedback we got from them is that we were turnkey, we were self-service, we had a very focused offering, they knew exactly what furniture they could pick, and they loved our sustainability offering as well. So they started to hack our consumer offering, the 3-month plan, towards using it for their own staging needs. And that's really when we started thinking and sparking the idea around, this is a really interesting audience. Our furniture actually has great turnover. It doesn't get used as much, so it comes back to us pretty unmarked, and they're very loyal. So, with all those facts, we decided that let's explore what is our business opportunity here, and how can we add value to this space and to realtors. How we work right now is it's super simple, similar to our consumer offering. Realtors or homeowners will come to our website, they'll pick a plan. So right now the options are 3 months or 12 months. They'll choose their furniture and then really just work with our team to pick a moving date. And our team will come in, white glove service, they'll deliver, assemble, and then at the end of term, pick everything back up. And the turnkey nature of this is what the realtors fell in love with, because their other option when they couldn't afford traditional staging was to go buy the furniture themselves, find a TaskRabbit, manage all the deliveries, assemble the furniture, and they fell in love with us. So we know that what we have is great for the consumer offering. But what we've learned through over the last couple of weeks is we have real work to do in evolving our offering for this specific audience so we can actually do what we want to do and build an amazing offering for them. So what we're setting out to do right now, we want to help realtors sell their properties at a higher price in less time and with minimal impact to both their own time and the environment. That is our mission, is really core to who we are. That is also one of the reasons why this new generation of realtors are falling in love with us. So we have an ambition now to build a sustainable digital first furniture rental company that makes staging easy, hassle-free, and simple. And let me unpack why sustainable is important. We already have made sure that all our deliveries and domestic operations are carbon neutral. Our furniture, actually, we're one of the few companies that has designed and manufactured majority of our own furniture. And we've designed our furniture with modularity in mind. We've designed it with reuse in mind so that when it comes back, it's actually super easily refurbishable and then it can go out. So it has multiple lives in it. And that's why we think that all these factors coming in together with us really addressing the friction points sets up in a really strong position to offer something unique and new to the realtor community. So where we are headed from here, the work really that we've outlined for us to do in building this nation's first hassle-free staging service is to address the friction points. There are about 8 friction points that we've highlighted, and we've come up with an interesting way to evolve our product offering to solve for them. First and foremost is pricing. We understand that realtors are rightfully so price sensitive. We are actually launching a month-to-month option because the only option we have right now for them is a 3-month option. They've all requested this flexibility. We are also launching loyalty rewards for them, and we're also launching price-friendly packages. So this, we believe, will help us address some of the pricing concerns that they've brought to us. Second piece around friction is payments. So we understand that even though we have monthly payment options, anything we can do to reduce the burden on the realtors with upfront payment is going to be received really well. So we are working on offering them an option to pay when their property closes. This makes it hassle-free for them, and this allows us to serve them quickly and hopefully become a bit of a no-brainer with using our service. The next piece is design. We've learned from our research and from speaking with realtors that they don't want to pay separately for design. So with our evolved offering, we will make it inclusive in the price. So design, delivery, assembly, and pickup are all going to be included. And the way we are addressing it is creating pre-made packages at different price points that have furniture pieces that go well with each other. So that actually on our end also reduces the time that we have to spend in designing and making custom quotes for every single contract that comes our way. The next piece is around virtual staging. So right now we don't actually offer that service, and we're very lucky to have been introduced to some NAR companies that are phenomenal at this. So that's an area that we are also going to add to our service, and we want to make it possible for realtors to apply this towards their physical staging if they choose to work with us. So a small fee there. Next is storage, something that came up, and likely not for every single contract, but we want to offer realtors ability to store existing furniture from the property. So when we have higher value contracts, that is another area that we want to be able to offer them our warehouse on a temporary basis, so they can actually use us to put our furniture in there and put some of the homeowners' actual belongings in our warehouse. So that's something we're working through as well. And then touch points. The one thing we keep hearing over and over is, it's great, you guys are end-to-end already, we love you, but fewer touch points, please. So we're working to create an end-to-end mobile process. So with text and SMS, we want to make it super easy for the realtor to work with us, and all they have to do is keep sort of sending a yes, 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 and don't really have to get involved in the minutia. And lastly, with delivery, right now our SLAs are around 7 to 14 days. We know it's a really hot market for apartment and home sales right now. We want to be able to offer a much more competitive delivery timeframe. So in the markets where we own our end-to-end last mile, we are working to offer a 3-day delivery window. And the last piece is the post-process. This is an area that we're not actually doing much with right now. And we're working to figure out how can we offer, text and email support, build more loyalty programs, create a scenario in which contracts are easily signed on mobile phones, and then also create a leave behind so that a realtor can take pride in working with Feather and leave a little stage sustainably with Feather placard in the homes. That helps us build our perception and our brand with other realtors as they step in to see the property, but then also with homeowners and potential buyers to help us with our consumer business. Those are the areas in terms of the friction points that we're looking to address, and really, with the North Star on building this hassle-free staging service. And in terms of how we go to market, this is another area that we're really excited about. We've received some incredible feedback, and there are 3 key levers we are looking to pull. One is to work with real estate influencers. It's become increasingly clear that the real estate community wants to learn more and do as the successful influencers are doing in the community. So we want to target them, work with them, and figure out how we build stronger relationships with them. We've also been made privy to this amazing real estate ecosystem and the partnerships that can exist in that world, from everything with Curbio to Argo to Siding. And that is another area, because right now, we've tried everything from LinkedIn ads and paid digital ads, but we believe the one-to-many approach is going to be more successful for us. And then lastly, lead generation, which we're already doing. And we're seeing a 52% open rate, which indicates extremely high interest. And we want to continue down this path and figure out how we can actually drive more interest and close contracts to this approach. So that is us. I probably am under time, which hopefully is appreciated, but really excited to hear your feedback and answer any questions that you might have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Janelle. That was great stuff. I know that we've talked one-on-one before, so I'd love to see that you've kind of just thrown those friction points out there. You know what they are through working with and talking to realtors and expectations. And it's so neat just to see how you guys are so open to listening and transforming what you're doing to help support this whole other market area. It's really great. And then I was shocked to hear did you say 20 billion pounds of furniture going to a landfill per year?
Yep. Yep.
Wow. That is a lot. So we have one more presentation. I want to make sure to get to it. There is a question about markets you're in. If you don't mind typing that in the chat, that would probably be very helpful if you don't mind. And then I guess briefly, we'll get this one question in. So what are your thoughts on commercial office space use cases?
Yeah, great question. We actually have an incredible partnership in the works with one of the largest co-working companies out there. And, we're seeing tremendous trends that point in that direction and us being able to serve that market. We have, obviously with last year, we had to deprioritize our approach in the commercial office space, but we're picking it back up very thoughtfully and mindfully. And for us, the co-working space is the way to go in rebuilding our brand and our awareness in this market.
Cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Erin, you're up next. We're very excited for you to close us out. So let's hand it over to you.
Sounds great. Adam and Janelle, those are tough acts to follow. So thanks for setting us off on the right foot. My name is Erin Malarkey. I am the CEO and co-founder of Remarkably. We are the first ever multifamily marketing business intelligence platform, and super excited to be here today and thrilled to be a part of Reach and Scv. So thanks for joining us all. Can you guys all see my screen? Get a thumbs up for that. Sweet. Okay. So I've spent my entire career in real estate and marketing and analytics. So it's probably come as no surprise that now I co-founded a company that focuses on all of those. And the opportunity that we saw was that marketing has become, undeniably critical to delivering asset and portfolio performance. But it has been, historically undervalued as basically, a creative cost center. Think about the logos and the websites and the signage. And so correspondingly, it was frankly really lacking in terms of specific tools to support this critical function. It was this essential function without the essential tools. And it's interesting if you think about the evolution of multifamily, because everyone now recognizes and understands, well, of course, we need a property management software such as a Yardi or a RealPage. Everyone recognizes that you have to have a CRM to manage your lead to lease process. And there has been a transformation in terms of understanding the importance of BI. But even within that, there was still this massive gap related to marketing business intelligence. Even the largest BI solutions out there weren't meeting this critical need of how do you actually successfully and most efficiently and cost effectively lease up your buildings. And one question we had to answer, often in our early days was, well, does marketing really matter? How big is the opportunity? And in our mind, it is undeniably critical. So if you were to look at apartment buildings in the US, and if you were to narrow it into just those of 50 units and higher, and if you took the assumption of a conservative cost per lease of about $600, which is very low, oftentimes you see 2 or 3 times that, the industry is spending over $5 billion a year on advertising hard costs alone. So that doesn't account for staffing, events. That's literally, Facebook and Zillow and all of the ILSs, $5 billion. And yet most marketers didn't have a good way to answer the question, what of my marketing spend is working and what isn't? Sort of that classic quote that only half my marketing is working, but the problem is I don't know what half. So we felt like there was just this tremendous opportunity to really evolve marketing in terms of the kind of BI and analytics that other B2C verticals employ. So true full funnel analysis that begins even before they become a lead, right? That begins before they even get to your website, all the way through to new leases and retention, truly understanding channel analysis, which of my channels is actually working and which isn't. digging into things such as conversion analysis. What are the respective levers you can employ to improve that process through the funnel? And then of course, ultimately goal analysis, thinking about what are we trying to achieve and how do we most efficiently get there? So our typical user is going to be either a owner operator or a third-party property management company. Sometimes we're brought in through the capital players as well. And the pain points that these teams are facing are pretty significant. So massive amounts of manual data aggregation. They're pulling data out of their Yardi PMS, out of their CRM. A huge amount of data exists in Google Analytics, and they're having to manually navigate all of that into Excel and into spreadsheets, which of course is error prone and time consuming and all the things we know. They often, as mentioned, wouldn't be able to clearly tell you why aren't things working? Why is the building having trouble with occupancy? Why isn't it getting leased up quickly? They're doing a massive amount of manual modeling and estimating. Okay, we didn't meet goal this month. What do we need to do to get to goal next month? Massive amounts of manual reporting. It's estimated that the average marketer spends about 10% of their time just doing manual reporting, manual channel and source analysis, the kind of marketing black hole. I don't actually know what's working or it isn't. And really, frankly, a lack of visibility into marketing performance that a number of teams were struggling with: asset management, operations, and leasing. And they have a significant job to be done. So again, if you think about marketing as this critical lever in your asset management function that needs to effectively lease half your building every year. So the industry average is a 50% retention rate, which means every building has to be filled up at least half every year, which is massive. The teams are having to monitor risks, forecast out ahead to think about what's going to happen, think about how they should adjust spend to meet performance, how they could reduce spend to increase NOI, and then of course exist in that world that we all do of how do you report up to stakeholders and manage down to your respective teams. So this is how Remarkably came to be born. Certainly, I think based on the group that's here today, you all can appreciate that founding and running a startup is not for the faint of heart. There are high highs and low lows. And so there needs to be a vision that inspires you. And for us, this really is to transform the perception and then the role, and lastly, the impact of multifamily marketing. And that stems from my very earliest days working in the industry and marketing and delivering significant results when it came to property performance, but not being able to quantify that. And so for us, what that means is evolving from just unbelievably manual processes into those that are completely automated. I was chatting with someone the other day and she said, wow, with the click of that button, you just saved me my weekend. And that of course is pretty inspiring to get out of sort of that anecdotal reporting of shoot, we've got a meeting on Tuesday with the owner, we need to get prepared, into just consistent quantitative reporting, the kind of opaque workflows at Remarkably, we talk a lot about the black hole, into things that are transparent, and really sort of fundamentally shifting this mindset of marketing as overhead into marketing as a revenue driver. I'm going to put in $10 and I'm going to get out 1,000. Well, that's a pretty good return. And then correspondingly getting out of that cost-focused approach, how much is it costing us, and into a return-focused approach of what is it generating for us. So we are about 2 years old. We've seen really exciting product market fit, frankly, specifically in the last year. We have both core and advanced features, and this was an interesting evolution. So when we began the platform, we sort of had the traditional data pyramid. We knew we needed to aggregate data from all those different systems. We needed to visualize it. We needed to provide insights surrounding it. So there are portfolio marketing dashboards. You can see how your entire portfolio is campaigning, is performing across various marketing functions. You can see property level dashboards, going through a full funnel. So again, beginning even before they become a lead. Things such as forecasts. We built an AI-powered narrative insights engine that will analyze your data and actually convert it into a natural language so you can understand what it means. And then a monitoring and alerting. So that was kind of the first stage of it. And then what we realized was that the biggest pain point, frankly, that the industry was facing was answering that question: what of my marketing spend is working, and what do I do? How do I make changes to my sort of my strategy as a means to meet goal? So that launched kind of Remarkably 2.0.1, I guess. which gets into things such as that channel analysis, being able to manage your expenses, and targeting all of this around goals and being able to isolate events into outcomes. Because right now, oftentimes a building will get leased up and it's really hard to isolate. Well, was that because we dropped our rent rates? Or was that because we increased our marketing spend? Or was that because we got rid of the leasing agent who just sat on their phone all day, or because we finally finished the club room? So being able to take all of that plumbing and then start to make it really actionable with basically best-in-class closed loop marketing practices. So I know we've only got a couple more minutes, so I'll just fly through just to give you kind of a couple of visual snapshots of the platform. As mentioned, we have those narrative insights. This will analyze whatever date set you're looking at and actually just convert these into report-friendly, owner-friendly language and bullets. We have a whole monitoring and alerting functionality. So for all of those various KPIs, of which there are many, volumes, conversions throughout the entire funnel, you can set benchmark standards of leading indicators versus kind of a property being triggering on a watch list via occupancy. And get proactively alerted for exactly which property in your portfolio and exactly where in the funnel is a potential risk area. We have website traffic analysis to really being able to dig into where is your traffic coming from, which are the most effective through the full funnel, digging into goal analysis. So being able to easily answer at the click of a button, when are we going to hit stabilization, and understanding how you could speed that up, how you could reduce costs. And then lastly, the channel analysis piece, which has been a major milestone for us. And this really starts to evolve the conversation out of the kind of more historic, well, how many leads are we getting from X source? How many leases are we getting? Into more sophisticated conversations around, well, what is the efficiency of each of those respective sources? And for instance, is one source producing a high cancellation and denial rate? Of course, looking at those traditional cost pers, and then most importantly, getting into revenue and ROI, which is something our industry has never had, which again, when you think about the fact that we've been spending $5 billion a year is pretty crazy. But to be able to analyze via each of your respective sources, Zillow versus Facebook versus Instagram versus direct, what is the typical gross rent being associated via each of those channels? What is your projected lease revenue? So for instance, in gross rent, just as an example, is it a studio or is it a 2-bedroom? In terms of your projected lease revenue, is it a 6-month or an 18-month lease? And then ultimately getting into what is your projected marketing return and marketing payback by source? So we can start to actually understand CAC to LTV via different sources, which is just tremendously exciting when you think about how you actually optimize performance. So I'll pause there. I know we've got just a couple minutes left, and I will turn it back over to the team.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. That was awesome. I'm looking to see if we have any questions. I guess I just want to compliment, obviously, what you just talked about and showed us. The marketing component of kind of everything has always been this unknown to me. And you always try to quantify it and justify it. And it works. It's a matter of where it works best and how it works. And it's so cool to see you and your team helping to figure that out, so you can kind of spend your money in the right places and see what the true feedback is. And it's hard to break that down. And it's so awesome to see you guys doing that. There is one question you just popped up. So what are your most popular integrations?
Yeah, so we tackled Yardi first. So Yardi, of course, has 50% of the market share. So we tackled that first. We're pulling in data via the Yardi property management software, pulling in data via the CRM, so Yardi Rent Cafe or compatible CRMs. And then we also built a custom Google Analytics integration. And that's been a real game changer because, as mentioned, marketing was sort of existing in their sphere and having to kind of cross between Google Analytics and Yardi. But of course, there's a massive amount that happens before someone becomes a lead, before they come into it. So that Google Analytics integration that we built is allowing for some pretty powerful proprietary attribution in terms of being able to get out of that property website black hole, where it looks like everything is just, people are just mysteriously arriving on your website. And that's what's producing the results, into really being able to analyze where they came from, all the way through then again to which of those sources have high cancellation and denial, which are renting the best units, which have the lowest kind of skip or eviction rates. So being able to take it all the way through that full sort of resident value.
Awesome, cool. We are right on time. So I want to close, and I want to thank everybody, both Dave, who organizes this with me, Mark for coming on and talking SCV and Reach, and then obviously Janal, Adam, and Erin for presenting. This is just awesome stuff, and we're glad we were able to highlight some of the awesome Reach companies. So look forward here up on the screen. You can find us meetup.com/PropTech, or reach out to Dave or I on LinkedIn. We're very active. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully you all will be very excited for our upcoming announcement. We'll have another one of these in about a month or so, or 2 months. And thanks again for joining. And I hope everybody has a great week and a long weekend.